Well, I was elected constable in September of 1973. I was always fascinated with law enforcement. But I went to work for, I got married in 73 to Cynthia Payne, and a wonderful lady. And then a year or so after she was pregnant with the child, and naturally I had to work. I worked in all the time, and I sold cars, and I worked for the motor company, and I was a constable, and I went to work for Ingalls Shipyard, Ingalls Shipbuilding. And I was real fortunate because at Ingalls, I went to work in the security department. And it was a great experience, learning experience, and I could have got probably at any university. Probably the first major job I had was on Coon Street in Biloxi, a water tower out of a corporation out of Mobile, Alabama. And what was really wonderful was a lot of the guys that I came up with are police officers. And it was a tough time. You know, police officers didn't make a lot of money. So what I did, I picked the best of the best to work for me in a security company. And that's where we got started. You know, from one job to another job, and especially reputation. My kitchen was the main office. And just in all the security guards, that's where we all congregated there. We had a little office in there, and that's where we made payroll, and everybody came. We all had a lot of food. I loved to cook. We always had plenty of food for everybody, and it was more or less, I loved the company because it was like family. The security guards that I started off with and stayed with me so many years were my family, you know? And what wonderful, wonderful times. And I enjoyed every bit of it. I started up doing the security in all the hotels and the motels on the beach, and the business just kept coming to us. We had a roving patrol that we checked buildings at night, you know, make sure the doors was shut and locked and everything. Just everybody that you can imagine in the seafood business, we checked their building at night. I was just so fortunate and blessed to have such a good bunch of employees, my infrastructure. And you know, in retrospect, when I look back over the last 50 years, it swells my heart to see what's happened, you know, in the company and how it's grown, you know. And Cynthia has just done such a wonderful job with the corporation. And my son, he's just carrying on tradition. Everything that I started out, they just carried on and on.
Swetman Security started in 1973. After 10 years, I decided that I wanted to grow this company, but the direction I wanted to grow it in would be on the professional side to get big contracts. So I knew I had to build a solid foundation to meet the specific needs of going in that direction. I started out by getting certified in security on a national level. In fact, I was the first female in the state of Mississippi that was certified as a certified protection professional, which is a national certification. International also, it's recognized. As I went on, I would look at the bids and see specifically what they were looking for in the company to furnish their security, and I made sure that I met those needs. I got my first big contract 1987, 1988, and I was lucky enough to win the bid for Mississippi Power Company to furnish their guards. When I did that, in 2 weeks later, Chevron invited me to provide security for their company. It went out for bids, and I had to travel to Houston at their home office to make a presentation with what I called the big boys, the international and the national security companies I had to bid against. That was a very unique experience because as I sat in the lobby waiting to be called up to the boardroom, I watched as these national companies had their presentations. They had 3 guys with them to make that presentation, and I just happened to be the last one called. Well, when I went into that boardroom, I looked around at each person and I said, look, I don't have a fancy presentation, but I can tell you about my company, and I can answer any questions that you want to know about each individual person that I would provide for you to do your security. Well, I went in and they asked me many questions. I answered every question, and I was successful in that bid. I started by winning a national contract with Chevron Corporation, and that from there we launched more. That is where Swetman has grown from there, because we had a professional security company that met the needs of the client, but we also had the secret sauce that the nationals couldn't do, and that was provide the input and daily oversight by the owner of the company. If they needed something, all they had to do was call, and all we said was, yes, sir, we will take care of it. It was not 1-800, we'll see you in 48 hours. And I think that was the secret sauce for Swetman Security to continue to grow, because they saw that when I told them something, it was taken care of. We went on to bid the Port of Gulfport, which thankfully we're still there. We bid DuPont. We bid the hospitals. We did places where they wanted professional security, and that's what we were providing for them. We had the credentials, but we also could back up everything that we told them. In order for us to continue to grow and to maintain our professionalism, I got a federal contract to provide security training. So I brought in a certified security training person who coordinated all that with a person with a PhD and a law degree, who just happened to be my brother, who coordinated, set up all the curriculum for these guards, and we ran them through, and they were certified nationally as security officers. Here we are today, 50 years later, and Swetman's is going strong, because the principles and the foundation that I established for this company has been continued by my son, Windy Swetman, who has doubled, more than doubled or tripled the size of Swetman Security by keeping those principles and the foundation that Swetman's initially started with. He has continued to grow this company, where we started with 2 security officers or guards, and grown to this point where Windy works over 1,000 guards in 3 different states, providing professional security to a multitude of corporations. We might be local, but we're still the best.
From the early days, my memories go back when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I remember at Christmas time, I always wanted my new Swetman Security uniform. As a kid growing up on Magnolia Street, we had a route patrol that would run in the evenings through the night, and I couldn't wait for the officer to get there, and I'd want to go ride in the patrol truck with them. So some of the earlier officers that we had back then, they were all like family. They got their paychecks out of our kitchen. They were dad and mom's friends, and George Glazier would be a route man, or Miss Barbara Allen, and I go ride in the truck with them. And we'd check the seafood factories along the back bay, and they opened and closed the fishing bridges at the foot of Civette Street and Oak Street on the point, and it was just a lot of fun. Those are my early memories of Swetman Security. I first started working for the company and getting paid when I was 15 years old, and I'd get out of football practice and go down to Bradford O'Keefe on Howard Avenue, and from 6P to 9P, they'd have the wakes, and I'd stand out in the parking lot there. Then I'd go to the home store in Gayfers on the beach, and they would close the store down at night, and I would be there out in the parking lot, and as the ladies would come out to their cars, and then I'd go home. And that's how my early experiences started. My whole life, I've grown up in Swetman Security Service. 50 plus years of this company, I've experienced every bit of it. And it's been an amazing view from where I'm at. I went on and pursued a career in public law enforcement, but was always there because it is a family business, so it was a topic at the kitchen table each and every day, and twice on Saturdays. Always involved, got to watch, that early involvement where, my mom was a mom and a CEO. My dad was a constable. He loved politics and people, and he was the original BD guy, the business development guy. My Aunt Judy was in the back room, and she did payroll and just helped in the business. It was a family operation. As it evolved, my Uncle Tom, my Uncle Greg were involved and working side by side with Mom, and that was great to have family and see family working there. My sisters, Stephanie and Heather, grew up with the same view, watching the company and watching Mom work so hard in her day-to-day and growing as a professional and everything she was doing. All the characters that's come along. The Handler family, Morris Handler's still here today. We can't get rid of him. Sammy Handler. Sammy was a four-letter word in our house when I was a kid coming up, affectionately, of course. These were just some of the characters that we had around us. You think about all the great people through the years that made such an impact as managers here in the company, and just naming some of those, like Diane Sager, that was in those real formative years, and Mom having a partner in the company on her day-to-day. Phil Kelly, who's still here today after 30-plus years, and he was Mom's partner and now my partner. So the first 10 years of Swetman's was ran out of our kitchen. As Mom grew the business and incorporated Swetman Security Service, she moved downtown. You could definitely see the growth of Swetman's just by the optics of how the infrastructure was building, where there was more support staff in the office. That next 10 years of Swetman's was really, really exciting as we went through the 80s and really transformed from a family, mom and pop, so to speak, to a corporation, to doing business with national and international companies. That was really, really exciting. And all the amazing and great people that were a part of that team that came in here to support Mom and what her day-to-day was. Family's important to us. My uncles, coming from a law enforcement family, a public service family, it's a supportive family. As I came into the company on that next, at the 30-year mark, and started working a little bit more, where I was able to transition some of the knowledge and the networking and the skill sets that were developed in the public law enforcement career that I had. It was exciting. Over the last 10 years, Mom handed the baton off, but never left. And I've been really lucky. We run the business on a day-to-day, and it's frantic, right? You drink from a fire hose when you're in the security business. We've grown in the event side of it. And by growing in the event side of it, that's taken us into all these different markets. And one thing led to another. And it's about being in the position to be able to grow. They say that what is luck, and that's where opportunity meets preparation. Well, we are very, very lucky. But the preparation started a long time ago. There are fundamental principles and a foundation of this company that, I've taken from both my mom and my dad, and taken the best of both of them and apply them today in our day-to-day as we grow at Swetman's. One thing that is so important and that I learned is that to be kind to people. Never forget where you came from. Take care of your team and know just how instrumental they all are. There's no one person at Swetman Security that makes us successful. Myself, any managers we have. As we go into the future, only the good Lord knows just what's out there on the frontier for us. Mom jokes about, it's not 1-800, call you back in 48 hours. I live on the phone. It aggravates my poor wife, who has, endured through the years, being gone, working late, always on the phone, but that's part of it. That's part of why our clients do business with us, because there's no absentee ownership here. Anytime they need us, they can pick the phone up, they can call. That's important at Swetman's. The third generation, well, they're on the horizon. And because being a family business, nephews, nieces, sons, little brothers, sisters, everybody has played a role here at Swetman's and continues to do so today. I'm excited to see what the future holds for us, where we're going. But one thing that's so important is that we're never going to forget how we started, where we came from, the journey that it's been. We've had these wonderful, great clients over the years with the Biloxi Hospital, Mississippi Power, the Port of Gulfport. These are just 3 to name that have been with Swetman's for decades. And we owe a lot of our success to their trust that they've given to us. But certainly that doesn't come lightly. When you look in our company and you see team members that have been here 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, well, that's unheard of in the security business. It's a very transient industry. But when we look around, you know, our managers, our frontline staff, and we're able to, year after year, recognize them for their tenure and what they've done, that's a special part of Swetman's. You know, people always say, what's the secret sauce? You know, how are y'all successful? How'd you make it so long? Well, there's really not a secret sauce. It's called hard work. Be nice, work hard, surround yourself by good people, invest in the people that work in Swetman's, the team that you have. Give back to them. I'm very humbled to lead this team. I'm excited every day. I don't know anything else but this industry and what we do. And it's just a proud moment each time that these guys go to work and they're successful. Every football game we work, every concert we do, every car we check at a gate, the day in, the day out of Swetman's is just a real treat and an honor to be able to lead.